For the longest time now, BMW has been like that proverbial moderate voter, the one you hear about on the news but never have met in person. Everything's straight down the middle. But over the past couple of years, or really longer than that if we're honest with one another, they've had some huge swings to the right and huge swings to the left. Think about it, all the M models over here and all like the I stuff with carbon fiber reinforced polymer over there. So that really brings us to an unusual juncture. Do they even need that moderate inline six anymore? Now, if we're going to be pedantic, this is not exactly just the ubiquitous BMW B58 inline turbocharged 6. Rather, this is a B58 inline turbocharged 6 with a mild hybrid system. You see, in the 540, that is the only derivation of the 21.5 series that has a 48-volt mild hybrid system. So the engine itself, 335 horsepower, 332 pound-feet of torque, that goes through only an 8-speed torque converter automatic and can drive either the rear wheels or, in this case, all four wheels. Now, this system differs in a couple of key areas from the Mercedes-AMG system. One of the bigger areas would be the architecture. The integrated starter generator motor that makes up the backbone of the Mercedes system sits between the engine and the transmission. Here, this one does have an accessory drive, and the starter generator motor is part of that accessory drive. Then there's what the system is designed to do. In the Mercedes, the entire car is a 48-volt electrical system. It does have a backup 12-volt system. In the case of the BMW, it's kind of in reverse. The primary electrical system in the car is a 12-volt system, and that 48-volt starter generator motor provides energy to the 12-volt system, so there's less load on the engine. But how does it get energy into the battery? By recuperating energy from the regenerative brakes. Try saying that fast 5 times. Now, this sounds super high-tech, super flash, but what the hell does it mean to you and I to have a 48-volt mild hybrid system as well as a 48-volt battery to store this energy? Well, one of the biggest things is having 11 extra horsepower to assist as the car comes off of a light. That's the mild hybrid part of it. The other aspect of this, and this is me being kind of looking at my crystal ball, I am hoping that this will improve the reliability of very complex cars like this. I have covered this in other episodes, so go back and check out our AMG GT43 episode where I go really deep into that topic. Now, aside from the differing approaches of the competing 48-volt systems, Mercedes on one side, BMW and Jaguar Land Rover on the other side, they all share one aspect in common. They enable the car to coast, and they enable the car to do it at many different speeds. In this case, it's 16 miles an hour all the way up to 99 miles an hour. Something unique to this application, they enable it to coast not just in eco mode, but comfort mode as well. Now, getting back to this and where the rubber really does meet the road, does this improve the fuel economy? And there the answer is no. Well, kind of, sort of. You see, this system, it's really not designed to be like a Prius. It's designed to be more of a performance-oriented system to allow electrification to the car, to make it more instantaneous torque. There it does a good job. However, fuel economy, 23, 31, 26 combined, that's the all-wheel drive. It's slightly better in all of those figures when it's two-wheel drive. However, performance figures, that's where we get some benefit. 0 to 60, 4.6 seconds. VMAX as a car that would be normally equipped, 130 miles an hour. Something with performance tires, 155 miles an hour. I've kind of lost track. What is this, the third flavor of the 2021 5 Series we were driving? This one, 3,968 pounds, or depending on how you express your weights and measures, 1,768 kilograms with that sport mode. Oh yeah. Bit more instantaneous than that 530 we've driven. Wow, it pulls all the way up to 6,000 RPM. The switch comes on around 3,000 RPM. Yeah, this is a lovely BMW inline 6. You can tell the difference immediately. This is more supple than that 4-cylinder with the hybrid system. Wow, this is actually kind of fun to drive. Really good power. As far as the transmission is concerned, It's kind of the same deal we've experienced in all of these 5 Series we've driven as of late, where it's really well matched to this engine. Perhaps I'm a bit biased, but I would argue this transmission is better matched to a BMW with an 8-cylinder. Wow, this thing does like to squeal some tires, doesn't it? It picks gears a bit better, or maybe it just works with the power band of the 8-cylinder better. Not that it's bad here, it just is not as stellar. That aside, I do need to share one subjective point of information here. This is perhaps a better personality of engine than, say, the 530. The power delivery is very similar between the two. Yeah, it's a bit more buzzy and annoying in the 4-cylinder 530e, but the thrust is similar. This one, it's got an edge. This one, it's more aggressive. This one, it's frankly a bit more fun until the leash comes in and tells you, well, you know what, we don't want to launch your almost 4,000-pound car off into the cliff. Yes, it is indeed that time again to play your favorite game on the Napsons game with today's contestant. Yes, a BMW. However, this one is white. For the life of me, I will never understand why someone will part with as much money as a BMW requires and have it in white, like every other nondescript blah sedan out there. Anyway, done with the complaining, let's get to the car. 2021 BMW 540 xDrive. That's BMW speak for all-wheel drive for a base price of $61,750. Now, I do feel it prudent to point out that the BMW 530e Hybrid we already drove, that one has a base price of $57,200. Then let's just press on past the color to the interior, which is the mocha Napa leather. Really very pretty, including with the white piping, but it's $2,500. To that, we add the Driver's Assistance Package Plus. This is the Level 2 autonomy. No, this is not a self-driving car. It's an adaptive cruise control for $1,700. Then the Driver's Handling Package. This is the active roll stabilization and the adjustable dampers. We will spend some more time getting to know that a bit later in this episode. $3,200. Then the luxury seating. This is incredibly important on non-M BMWs. It adds more adjustments to the seats, but we're not talking about just seat bolsters. It's also a shoulder adjustment, something that transforms the driving experience of these cars, well worth the $1,000. Then the M Sport package. This is the variable sport steering, $3,300. That's a lot of money for steering. Then the Parking Assistance Plus package, $800. Then this is a almost $62,000 car that requires a premium package, which includes, a bunch of stuff, but the things that you and I are excited about, the Harman Kardon stereo, which kicks, the Qi wireless charger. Why is that optional on an almost $62,000 car? And then most importantly, the head-up display for $1,850. Then the heated steering wheel, optional on a $62,000 car, $190, although it's a nice touch. Then the M Sport brakes, incredibly important on these cars, $650. Then the only other thing we have to add is the destination handling from Dingolfing Deutschland for a total retail price of $77,935. That round of the options game does indeed tell us the entire story about this specific 5 Series. Someone set it up to be somewhat of a fun driver's car. The brakes, that's the biggest thing we got to get to first. The M Sport brakes, I'm going to go ahead and say this, one of the best standard, meaning non-carbon ceramic rotor brake option in the business. Really good feedback, very direct, and unusually good pedal modulation. This isn't the race car, it's not an M5. It doesn't need ridiculous brakes, but here's a situation where you can drive it aggressively, and the brakes clearly come from something a bit better than this. That all works in conjunction with the steering, and here I'm kind of happy to say that Freude am Fahren is alive and well. This is a big sedan. This is what, 4,000 pounds? But it's tall, it's big, it's got a long wheelbase, what, about 117-inch wheelbase. So it really shouldn't do this. And it's a function of that steering, how direct it is, good feedback. The weight, it ain't perfect, but again, this is kind of like the middle of the road of the 5 Series, perhaps upper middle class, we'll call it, of the 5 Series in terms of driving dynamics. And as such, the steering, it kind of works. But really what's going on here is the way this car was set up as a driver's car, and that is the active roll stabilization. That's part of a package. And here it's not the fancy 48 volt system we've experienced in some of the Audis, the Bentley, the Mercedes, where it is an active anti-roll bar that literally counteracts the lean and it moves so quickly. Here it's done through the dampers and it works pretty well. Like, it handles the weight of this thing. I don't feel the weight leaning completely over into that canyon over here. Enables the car really to push it so fast. It's just not a fast reacting suspension. That's my only problem with BMW's approach to active roll stabilization as opposed to Volkswagen Group and Mercedes. And here, there's no excuse. This is a 48 volt car. We've already got the system in there. Let's just extend it to the suspension system so we can make this just even that much more sharper with a 48 volt suspension system, not just active roll stabilization. This is lovely, but I'm going to say it, I wouldn't have it. Me, I'd be all over the 530e like a cheap suit. Now yes, it's down on total system horsepower from this magnificent 6. I have to give this car that. But it's not enough of a delta to justify the extra shekels for this one. Plus the 530e has a trick this one can't do, and that's the full EV driving range, which brings us to the wish list, which really is kind of like a blend of these two things. How about we take the mild hybrid system from this, have it do more like the Mercedes system, but then have like 100 miles of EV driving range on whatever this combo car is. And this is the point of the episode where I turn this around to you guys to opine in the comments below or via our social media, MotoManTV all one word, MotoManTV all one word, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And with that, I'm gonna break with tradition here just a bit and give you a glimpse into our next BMW episode. You see, it will A, look a lot like that, B, it will have quite a bit more power than that, although not what you're thinking, and C, it will not be white, although it's not one of my favorite BMW colors. So until I see you in that episode, or preferably the next episode, which will not be a BMW, Bish Beta.